Hey everybody, Jaime Martinez, Circuit Administrator. I'm here with our EDU clinicians. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. We're here at Dripping Springs, and they just kind of got through the morning or the first part of the day. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and go from there.
Hi, I am Tiffany Quinstein. This is my third year doing EDU.
Hi, I'm Marlita Matthews, and I think this is my third year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they went through rotations with the cadet through regional A guards. And of course, just like last time, we want to see what y'all observed. Maybe one per to start, and we can discuss a little bit. So what was your biggest so far?
I mean, I think one of the biggest, it's the approach throughout the entire, how you're setting up success for the students themselves, what that looks like in body, and in between is just as important. Like, are you keeping them engaged? Like the groups that I felt had the most success on the floor, and not even just equipment wise or design wise or whatever, but just the way the kids approached it was the reminder of, hey, whenever we go in there, you're going to spread out, put down your equipment. You know, they were making sure to keep them engaged, make sure they're knowing what's happening versus the hands-off approach of just kind of like standing there and waiting in between, and then just staying calm. I think that's like such a huge part of it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The groups that I had, I commented to the instructors that I liked the calmness that they had, which definitely passed on to the members. Also, I like that they had a nice structure to what they were going to do. You know what I mean? And the members knew what they were going to do when they got into movement, when they got into equipment, you know, because they can go into any of those places, movement or equipment, a minute early. And I really liked the ones that said, we're not going to go in early.
Right.
I didn't want to be the one to say, don't go in early.
Right.
But the ones that said, I'm not going in early, I was like, good, that's good.
Right.
I like that. You know, just
Don't rush into it.
just
You
keep the game face on.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know it was the first show for everybody, but you have to have that element of, it's still a competition at the end of the day.
And just to be clear, y'all were looking at the logistics of them before you got into the gym.
Yeah,
Not necessarily the design or things like that, right?
I made that very, I
little
gave,
bit.
well, I'm not that person. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So when I met them, I introduced myself. What do you ask? What do you want from me? What should I be looking for? I am not a writer. I'm just a technician.
Mhm.
But there are some people that said, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, like maybe we could all wear the same color lipstick,
Right.
or like things like that.
Mhm.
But I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
It's a choice that you pick,
Mhm.
and we have to respect that. I
Right.
feel.
Yeah. I
So,
think a part
go
of it is, sorry,
No,
I
no.
think a part of it with that is like process. I think it's just like the decisions that you make, how you're going about it. I think just even that of we practice going in, this is how we do our body warm up. It's
Yeah.
very clear. I think the people, regardless of the choice that you make in that, as long as you have a choice where the kids know, oh, this is what we're about to take next. There was a couple where it felt a little chaotic energy of like, well, we want to take this. Well, you need to move over. We've got to do this, where it's just like, you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Number one. And also just knowing, hey guys, this is what we're going to touch on going into it.
Right, I was going to ask, so body specific, besides just starting, not being rushed to go into the room, was there anything else saw that was like, oh, that's a really smart thing to do, or maybe this is how you should approach your body logistics, like coming into the room or any of those things?
Well, I just like when things are done at unison. You know what I'm saying? And one of my last groups that I saw, it's been a long time that I've seen the instructor do it with them. Like you see
Oh.
that in drum corps a lot,
Okay.
but it was a upbeat tune to get their energy going. And then they went right into their movement piece, which I thought was cool.
Okay.
You know, I dug that. I thought that was really, really
Yeah.
nice to get them all on the same page. You know what I'm saying?
And you could
So-
probably tell that they had practiced that or knew what they were
It's
going
part of that's part of their jam.
Yeah.
They do all the time, which I think is great.
Right.
You know,
Anything?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's all of that. It's like the people that, regardless of what you decide to do, as long as the kids understand it. I think we were also talking about whoever is like with you understanding the flow as well. If you're a band director, you're a parent, like what this looks like. Hey, you can come into the room. Hey, you need to grab there's a lot of times where people came in and they're wearing like, I swear, like full like layers of socks and like tennis shoes and stuff. And it's like, okay, your time started. You're still trying to like take off that Converse, like,
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
right,
just,
right.
like that
Yeah.
kind of thing where it's just like understanding like how the time works, I think as well
Yeah.
is a huge part of it. Just to you don't want to feel chaotic. You want to
Mhm.
feel nice and calm, which is like, and that's awesome. I
Yeah.
would have seen that.
And I commend those instructors that they're just a one-man show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that rock my world. I'm just like, okay, right on. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like, you're doing this all by yourself, you know, all the time at your school. You
Mhm.
may have another person with you, but like, those are the ones that I feel have it going on.
Right.
Because
And it
they're
could be a
just-
band director too, or somebody that's just,
Yeah.
And what Tiffany was saying, I think that when you have those parents and you have those extra people around,
Mhm.
if you're gonna follow us and be in the room, you gotta be quiet.
Right.
Know your role.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna be doing props, da, 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 or don't sit up way high in the stands, sit low and get out there and get the equipment
Right,
afterward.
right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
everyone's different, you know what I'm saying?
From an
But it-
equipment time warm up, was there anything that y'all saw that was unique or different that was a positive? So I know everyone kind of does it a little differently as far as what their equipment warm up is. Maybe some do a run through of the whole show, some will stand still, some will do the pretty much the whole run of the show and drill. And,
Suggest, and I think this is from me teaching drum corps and winter color guard also, that I like to start with the flag feature. And everyone get on the flag and let's maybe take 15, 20
kind of get
drops.
together, right?
All
Like,
right, and then go into the flag feature.
Yeah.
No music, just do the flag feature maybe 2 times, then divide up. Your rifles go on one side. If you have sabers, they go on the other side. Have those 2 sections, still do like a maybe 20 counts of spins.
right.
Then go off and do what you need to do.
Okay.
I don't feel warm up as a time to clean something, and I love to clean. All right. I think that is that is the place for letting them feel comfortable
Yeah.
doing their thing. Don't let them, like, I saw a group that these 2 girls just wanted to work on their trick the whole
Yeah.
entire time.
Ooh, yeah.
And I pulled the person over. I said, they ran that warm up, not you. They didn't even get to pick up the flag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then the last 2 minutes, that's their time.
Right.
Music is on. Hey, I recommend that we all do the all flag feature, or whatever you worked on that day. Everyone needs to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
You know, everyone needs to be engaged,
Right.
I feel.
Mhm.
And I feel if you have a staff that is more than one, walk around, see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't just everybody be on the front.
Right.
Yeah, and just helping, like the engagement part is so huge of like, hey, making sure, okay, you see a kid that's like taking the thing over and over again. Hey, you need to walk away from
Yeah.
it. Like
Mhm.
they need that like feedback.
Yeah.
They need, and if you see somebody glazing over, hey, and I think for me, it's just like, how does that correlate to the show, the product? You're not warming up for, a rehearsal, you're warming
Yeah.
up to actually perform. So how does that correlate with each other and how are you setting them up for success for that?
Mhm.
Because it is one of those things where I see people not saying anything at all. And I'm like, I don't think, you can be like, hey, it's a little high, give them a little bit of feedback, maybe
Right.
don't throw so much at
Right.
them, but they still need to know like, hey, I'm seeing what you're doing and what that correlates to like one another as well.
Yeah, I
Because
concur.
kids start hearing stuff,
Yeah.
that freaks them out. It's just, I don't know, it's just staying calm and like, it's the energy of like ultimately it's the energy of the director and how they guide them
Concur.
into that.
Yeah.
And what they do in the warm up is a warm up. It's not a rehearsal. It's not
Yeah.
you're not going to fix everything that
Right.
was the problem yesterday.
Yeah.
No.
Right. So
Yeah. I mean,
if they weren't catching it, they probably maybe won't catch it.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
you know?
And you know that, right? Know that.
I saw a group early on and I was so fearful of them.
Mhm.
It was their first show, first time to be in JV or whatever. All brand new kids except one.
Mhm.
I was so nervous in body for them. I was so nervous for them in equipment. They got out there and they threw down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not perfect, but they got up there and you could just see when the music started, you could just see them defrosting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it came from because their instructor kept them in a good place.
Mhm.
Now, I said to her, I'm like, did you notice that they were like nervous? She's like, oh yeah, I did, but
Yeah.
I just kept talking through it.
Right.
But I was just like, oh my, I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
They just went up there, and they had a great time. I was like, yay, you did your first, one is done, now you
Right.
go on. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I just always feel like the phrase that I always would use is like you can't cram for color guard. You can't cram for
Right.
this. Like
Mhm.
you are well studied.
Mhm.
You have studied over a course of time. Right now is just a refresher, those last minute, those flashcards, and then you go out there, you do the thing, and like you're there for your team and for each other. And
Yeah.
that other stuff you don't have to worry about. Nobody's
Right.
gonna remember. And I think the thing to remember is that color guard is a very unique sport in its own, and like we all celebrate it so much that I saw so many kids like drop or fumble or anything, and like the crowd's still going to cheer.
Yeah.
They're still being supportive of each other because it's color guard. you know,
Absolutely.
and
They've
that's-
all been there, right? They've all
Yeah.
gone
Tell
through
them
that.
that
Yeah.
that drop does not define who you are.
It's
You know, like,
January,
yeah.
whatever, to 27th.
You know what I mean? Like, first and foremost, you want fun out
Right.
there, you know what I'm saying? And then just make sure when you get back to rehearsal on Monday or whenever it is, we just go back to the drawing board
Right.
and make it better, you know,
Yeah.
like.
And then once the kids have like, okay, now we understand where, and that's also reflecting like the rehearsal after. Okay, now we understand the process. Who has questions still about this? Okay, I felt like, and also deliberating and going, hey, I felt like there was a little bit of wiggle room here that we can make better. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to practice this for the future. And that's like what you build upon. And there's no way to create a performance feeling without there being an actual performance, but
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, what
Sure.
can we do?
Control what you can
games?
control
Yeah.
and yeah, what, so last thing is now we're in the gym. How did the setup go with most, I mean, I felt like most guards were mostly rehearsed, like they had practiced. There wasn't too much
One of
you
my
know,
groups set up,
issues,
they
but
had all these people to help them with props,
Mhm.
but they didn't know what to do,
Okay,
the backup people.
right.
All right. And so I think the members were relying on their help.
Mhm.
My advice to that is make them rehearse with you. If you're not going to use them, then let them carry the props out and let the cast members place it.
There's my
I just
equipment.
felt bad because they had to move things over again. Not a big deal.
Right.
That's, I mean, we've all seen it at WGI. You know what I mean? But then I really felt bad for them because at the end, those people that were helping them with props were like way up in the stands,
Mhm.
couldn't get down in time to help them get off the
Right,
floor.
right,
So
right.
things like that, like I'm with Tiffany, talk to your people that are a part of it
Mhm.
and make sure, and obviously rehearse it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think
Yeah.
as a director, also really looking, I felt like I saw like 2 or 3 groups that didn't really understand where like the penalty line was. Like
Yeah.
I felt like a couple of groups like set and then they were like, oh, we've got to back up. Just eyeballing that whenever you come out and just making sure you fully understand this is where that's at before you set up and knowing how much space you need.
And tell your kids, we're gonna move the floor back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Always move the floor back.
Yeah.
Always move it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And because the cool thing is there's a tarp underneath there, because there
Right.
was a group I had that didn't even use a tarp.
Mhm.
That's your choice.
Yeah.
That's A-okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10 now in this activity, there's something on the ground for you.
Mhm.
But still, if you have a tarp, push it back. Push it back so your members,
Yourself.
and that's something that you talk about with them before you come to a show.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So wrapping up, any last words of encouragement, wisdom as they go on to the rest of the season? We know it's January 27th, and then soon enough it's gonna be March, right?
It's gonna be over.
It's gonna be over.
It's crazy.
So I think Joey's in his notes had some good notes for the circuit. Going forward, do y'all have anything, any
My-
words of wisdom?
I've told every person, because I've not been able to really sit down and have a one-on-one. It's during when they're holding their tarp,
yeah.
because we have had so many back-to-backs. I just encourage everyone to still do technique.
Mm.
If you only have a 5 to 7 rehearsal, I'm sorry. on
That's
that
all the
girl.
video's over.
And on that note,
Yeah.
30 minutes of equipment, work on that lower body. If you can have a rehearsal one time, where it can just be a dance class,
Mhm,
that's even better. But to me, that's what's going to separate you from everyone else at the end.
mhm,
Do we put you in? Do we put you in because of your technique program?
right.
Yeah, because you just don't realize how many times are we in an angle, and if you have that technique, you automatically, that muscle memory, it just like, it cleans itself. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like,
And if you're going to put
I'm a
those
technician.
cheaters, you're
Mhm,
going to
Yeah.
put those cheaters on your kids' poles, which I think is great.
mhm.
Put one in the third on top.
Yeah.
But, and I know, you have to be the person to remind them, top tape, bottom tape, cover that crutch tip, like
Mhm.
all those things. 'Cause what's the score? I know.
No,
I'm
I
gonna,
know.
I'm gonna sit down.
An hour
I know.
on this,
It's like,
right?
okay, I picked the wrong people. I'm just kidding.
But
No,
the technique, when the members are nervous, right?
That's what you're
They're,
relying on.
yeah, they're gonna hopefully go back to that, right?
That's your
Yeah,
foundation.
mhm,
Yeah,
That's your
that's,
foundation.
yes.
oh,
It's like putting on underwear in the morning. You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
that. Well, some people don't wear, but my point is you need those things.
Right,
You know
right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
absolutely.
yeah, no,
Awesome.
absolutely.
So
And
you
just
have-
keep practicing, like, take what you get from this and keep like growing, continue to talk about it as well. And if you're premiering because it's compete by, and then you have like a month, like, how do you continue to emulate? Because that feeling's gonna, in a month, you're not gonna remember what that feels like.
Yeah.
How do you make that happen for them? Even if it's like, we're gonna take these 2 16s and like, all right, you're gonna, the other line's gonna go around the edge of the floor, and like, they're gonna be like yelling and cheering to like
Yeah.
create focus, playing those games. It's also fun for the kids too, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
get to perform, and I don't know. I mean,
Absolutely.
we could go on.
That's
and on.
awesome.
I-
That's awesome. Well, you
That's
guys,
neat.
hopefully we'll be back doing some other EDUs this season.
I don't know. I
I'll
don't-
be at Langham
Langham,
in
okay,
Houston.
awesome.
I don't think. I don't
At least
think
next year.
Well, I would
We're
love
not-
to come back.
yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk some more and good luck for
Technique.
this.
Yeah,
Rest of the
technique,
season.
right? Point those toes. All right.